You know, Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, you know, he could buy you one also while you're out.
He got me a Lamborghini.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Joe Rogan isn't someone who cries on camera. He's known for being tough, unfiltered, and fearless. But during a recent podcast, all of that changed. Joe sat at his desk, eyes locked on a single sheet of paper. His voice shook, his hands trembled. And then something happened no one expected. Joe Rogan broke down. The reason? A story involving one of the world's biggest pop stars, Justin Bieber, and a powerful music mogul named Sean Diddy Combs. Joe had just uncovered documents, videos, and first-hand accounts about what happened to Justin when he was only 15 years old. And what he found wasn't just surprising, it was heartbreaking. This isn't a story about music. This is a story about control, power, and what happens when fame hides the truth. It's a story Joe believes everyone needs to hear.
So many horrific accusations, though, involving young singers, like children.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's insane.
He makes R. Kelly look like a decent guy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It is crazy. And meanwhile, the guy was like hanging out with Oprah, hanging out with Obama.
Jay-Z,
Everybody.
I'm sure the Clintons were there at some point.
Maybe Bill.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So
Justin Bieber didn't come from money. He was raised by a single mom in a small town in Canada. He played guitar on the street and posted videos of himself singing on YouTube. Those videos caught the attention of Scooter Braun, who flew Justin to the US to meet with music industry giants. Usher took him under his wing. Justin was just a kid, but he had a voice that made people stop and listen. Soon the world knew his name. His songs were everywhere. He was a superstar before he was old enough to drive. But while fans saw the fame and fortune behind the scenes, there was someone else getting close to Justin, Diddy.
Because I think if a victim comes out against Usher, it'll show how egregious this shit is. Because if he can be a predator, then anybody can be a predator.
Can't smile on your face the whole time.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, people look at Usher, they don't see that. They're not seeing the victim. They're not seeing that boy that got rushed to the hospital. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there. Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute. And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that.
And good luck when you're older. You know, Justin Bieber had a post the other day on his Instagram talking about all the drugs that he did when he was younger and how much it fucked him up. And now he's got a relationship with the Lord, and he's got, you know, he's married and he's trying to be a normal person.
Yeah.
But he's struggling with the fact that he was insanely famous when he was a kid.
In a strange interview clip that resurfaced, Diddy brags about spending 48 hours alone with Justin. He calls it mentorship. He laughs, saying it was a dream for a 15-year-old. Joe Rogan plays the clip on his podcast. His face turns serious. Who gives a grown man 48 hours alone with a kid in the industry? Joe asks. Diddy claimed it was all about learning, but he never explained what they did. No studio time, no press events, no adult supervision.
What's going on with you guys? Are you working together?
I'm not. I mean, I think that we've become friends in a strange way, you know?
Like Robin Big.
Yeah, it's like, exactly.
I'm Big and you're Robin.
Yeah. No, I To a lot of us, he's like a little brother. You know what I'm saying? He's not afraid to call and ask for advice. He's somebody that, in the industry-wise, the record industry is a strong family, and he's somebody that, we definitely have our arms around, and we want to protect him because he's such genuinely a nice person besides his talent. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the greatest kids that you could ever know.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything?
Yeah.
Starting to act different, huh?
No,
you ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, business, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
It's 555.
Yes. Okay.
5555.
Okay. 55. You heard that?
Yeah.
Okay.
As Joe started to investigate, things got darker. He got access to records, he read through pages of contracts, hotel bills, and old tour schedules. But one note stood out, a letter written by Justin himself. It was simple, just a few lines written in shaky handwriting. Justin said he was tired, he missed home, the trip was too much, he asked to go back early. Joe read the note on the podcast, he could barely finish. His voice broke. He paused, eyes full of tears. "This is a kid asking to be a kid," Joe whispered. Joe's team then reviewed a short clip from a hallway camera at a luxury house rented by one of Diddy's companies. The timestamp showed 3:12 a.m. Justin was seen holding a guitar, walking slowly with two assistants nearby. There was no stage, no fans, just silence. In the background, a whiteboard came into view. Joe's producer zoomed in. The title on the board read, "Intensive Weekend." Underneath it listed 5-minute phone use per day, limited meals, rehearsals from sunset to sunrise, no manager contact. "This isn't coaching," Joe said. "It's control, and it's wrong."
And then you have them come to audition for you, right?
Actually, with a few people. My wife at the time.
Right.
It also was Perry Reed, L.A. Reid's first wife.
So you were all sitting in a room somewhere?
We were in a room.
Yeah.
And I showed her the video. And Perry says, "Are you crazy? You better get down there and meet this kid right now. He's amazing."
When all these pics come out and all this stuff with Bieber's big penis, are you the mastermind behind that? Say, listen, show off your big penis and people will come to those concerts? Or are you sitting there? Is that the kind of manager he's doing? Usher, are you sitting down with him and saying, "Yeah, show your cock," or leave it in your pants? I mean, do you sit him down and say, "Look, part of this is PR,
Hey,
man"?
by the way, he does have a brain of his own.
Yeah, but were you shocked at the size of his penis?
Hey, listen, he has a mind of his own. What he chose to do with his penis is his prerogative. He's managing that aspect of his life.
But Usher, is somebody...
I have nothing to do with Justin Bieber's private parts, man.
Flown out to Atlanta by a manager. His name's Scooter Braun. Flown out to Atlanta just to meet with him and meet different producers and different people. I was actually going to meet Jermaine Dupri at his studio. And who rolls up? Usher in his Range Rover. It rolls up. And I was like, "Is that who I think it is?" And Scooter was like, "Yeah." And so I ran up to him and I was like, Usher, I love your songs. You want me to sing you one?" And he was like, "Let's just go inside, little buddy. It's cold out." So the politest possible way he could say no, he did. And I was like, wow, he just turned me down. And I was a little disappointed. He had to go into a studio session, so I was like, whatever. And a week later, he actually watched my videos with my manager and was like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't I let him sing?" So flew me back to Atlanta where I got to meet him again, and he wanted to sign me. But there was something else.
Justin Timberlake, right?
Yes, Justin Timberlake also wanted to sign me. It was what happened was Justin Timberlake and Usher both went into a ring and boxed it out. And the outcome was Usher. I think it was a TKO.
Years later, Justin posted on Instagram. He talked about how growing up in the spotlight wasn't easy. He said the pressure nearly broke him, that he made mistakes, that he lost himself, that he struggled to find peace. Joe read that post and everything clicked. The signs had always been there. People just didn't want to see them. This kid was calling out for help the whole time, Joe said, and nobody answered. After Joe's podcast aired, more voices came forward. People from the music industry began sharing their stories. Assistants, stylists, former friends. One said Diddy would take young artists away for special weekends. Phones were taken. Parents weren't allowed. Calls to managers were blocked. Another said she was told to never speak about what went on during those trips. Joe listened to every story. He didn't cut anyone off, he just nodded and took notes. It's a pattern, he said, and it's been happening for too long.
Months ago, I was really struggling mentally and emotionally, and just there was so many things that were adding up, and I wasn't able to enjoy any of the things that I owned.
That stuff's not gonna matter to you.
None of the actual things did anything because I was so hurt and I was so confused and I was so sick and there was all these things, and I was like, I can't, there's like, you just can't, like you said, you can't enjoy the actual physical, tangible, like things that money offers, right?
The you of then was on a path of self-destruction.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would have, for sure, 100%. Yeah. It would have been no bueno. It was bad. I don't know if I'd be alive, for sure. It was dark. So I'm very, very grateful to have influences in my life that have played a huge part in me seeing their relationship with Jesus and their relationship with their wives and their relationship with their kids and saying that's what I want. But I want to definitely tell my story so that if that resonates to anybody, that they can hopefully. But yeah, just protecting those moments because people take for granted encounters and
Joe didn't just blame Diddy, he blamed the entire industry. Where were the adults, he asked? Where were the labels? Where were the people who were supposed to protect these kids? He said the music world is full of people who look the other way, people who value money and fame more than human lives. It's not just about one man, Joe said. It's about a system that rewards silence. As the podcast gained millions of views, the reaction was swift. A shoe company canceled their collaboration with Diddy. A major streaming service removed his name from playlists. 2 brands announced they would stop using his songs in commercials. It was clear. The world was listening, and this time they weren't going to ignore it. Near the end of the episode, Joe got emotional again. He looked directly into the camera. If you're in the industry and you saw something, say something, he said. Protect kids. Don't protect power. He said silence is what allows this to happen again. Then he made a promise. All the ad money from the episode would go to organizations that help young performers stay safe. No one should go through what Justin went through, he said.
I always say this about Justin Bieber. When people hear about him going insane, like, of course he's going insane. You have no idea what it would be like to be him and to be 17 years old. And girls literally trying to break into his house. They're coming down chimneys. They're flying in on parachutes. They're doing anything they can. They just want to be around him. You want him to be
Justin.
normal?
Oh, man, poor guy.
He did an interview back in 2020 with Zane Lowe. I think this was on Apple Music. And he was speaking about another young artist that was coming up, Billie Eilish, and Eilish. And he was basically speaking about how he wanted to protect her because she was now another young person, a rising artist in the industry. And sort of out of nowhere, he became quite overcome with emotion.
This podcast wasn't just a moment, it was a wake-up call. Fans started asking questions, people began revisiting old interviews, old tweets, old photos. Things that once seemed normal now look suspicious. And for Diddy, the shine started to fade. He was once known for his success, his fashion, and his chart-topping hits. Now people are asking what really happened behind the scenes. Through it all, Justin Bieber has tried to heal. He's not the same kid he was at 15. He's married. He's open about his mental health. He talks about faith. He writes songs that show his growth. But the pain from those early years didn't vanish. Joe reminded listeners that behind every celebrity is a human being, and some of them were pushed too far, too fast by people they thought they could trust. Justin should have been protected, Joe said, not used.
Anyways, I want to also just show you this montage. This is a montage that was shared by Evie Magazine. They do great work on their TikTok of Justin Bieber, again, just 15 years old, in Hollywood, surrounded by a bunch of adults. And you let me know if any of this registers to you as normal. Take a listen.
Wow! I feel violated right now. Wow.
Lean into me again. You smell amazing. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 16. I'll be 17 in like 2 weeks.
I don't ever remember smelling that good at 16. Like that was bad.
Yeah.
Wow, look at your eyes. Look at what a beautiful face. All right, now it's time to...
We had seen these videos of Justin Bieber being handed over to him at age 15. Great job. Great job. And for his weekend with Diddy camp. I mean, we don't know, but it certainly looks like Justin Bieber is still suffering the fallout from whatever happened to him as he was coming up the ranks of the music world. It really doesn't seem worth it. I mean, I'd love to hear more from his camp about what's real, because it's clear he's suffering. We just don't know from what. And what mother out there would give her 15-year-old boy over to a grown man who's in the rap industry for a weekend with Diddy camp without other adult supervision?
After the show, someone sent Joe a copy of an old schedule from Justin's early career. It showed 20-hour days, no rest, and nonstop travel. There were no family visits, no school time, and no days off. Another note showed a request for Diddy to manage Justin's personal travel, which wasn't approved by any legal guardian. It was handled quietly through special arrangements. Joe was shocked. "That's not a mentor," he said. "That's someone taking control." Joe spoke directly to other celebrities who may have stayed quiet. "Your silence protects the wrong people," he said. "If you know something, step up." He reminded everyone that speaking out doesn't ruin careers. Doing the wrong thing does. He said true strength is using your voice to protect others, and Joe made it clear he wasn't backing down. Joe ended the show with a list of things he believes the industry needs: background checks for mentors, required manager access at all times, full transparency for contracts involving minors, mental health check-ins for young stars. He said it's time to stop trusting fame and start demanding accountability. Joe called Justin Bieber a hero, not because of his fame, but because of his honesty. He didn't have to share his story, Joe said, but he did, and now others are waking up. This isn't just about Justin or Diddy anymore. It's about changing the way the industry works. It's about putting people before profits. And it's about making sure that no other 15-year-old kid ever goes through what Justin did. Joe said it best: once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. And now that it's out there, the world is watching, the world is listening, and the world is finally saying enough. Joe said it best: once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. And now that it's out there, the world is watching, the world is listening, and the world is finally saying enough. Joe Rogan has seen a lot: fighters, politicians, celebrities. He's talked to all of them, but nothing hit him harder than the truth he uncovered about Justin Bieber. It wasn't a punch in the face. It wasn't a shocking headline. It was a series of quiet facts, all leading to a devastating picture of what really happened when Bieber was just a kid in the music industry, guided by someone the world once celebrated, Sean Diddy Combs. As Joe flipped through page after page of documents, watched old interviews, and heard from people who were there, something changed in him. He wasn't just a host anymore. He became a voice for someone who had been unheard for too long. And when he read one letter out loud, written by 15-year-old Justin himself, Joe couldn't hold back the tears. This is the full story of what Joe Rogan discovered and why he says the world can't stay silent anymore. Justin didn't plan on being famous. He just loved to sing. His mom recorded him singing Neo covers on YouTube, and before long, he had millions of views. The videos got the attention of Scooter Braun, a young talent manager who flew him out to meet with big stars. That's where Usher stepped in. And soon after, Diddy entered the picture. At first, it looked like a dream come true. Bieber had the voice, he had the smile, he had the support of the biggest names in music. But the truth behind that support, Joe Rogan says, was never about mentorship. It was about control. Diddy didn't guide Justin, Joe said on his podcast. He owned him. In a resurfaced interview, Diddy smiles as he says he has custody of Justin for 48 hours. He calls it mentorship. He says it's every 15-year-old's dream. But when asked what they were doing together, he dodges the question. Joe found that clip chilling. He paused it on his podcast. "Listen to how he talks," Joe said. "Like this kid is some sort of toy or project. It's not normal." Joe then played another clip of Diddy talking about mentoring Usher when he was also young. There was a pattern. Get close to rising stars early, take them on private trips, call it guidance, but never explain what actually happened during those times. What changed everything was a letter. It was dated during one of Justin's early trips to Los Angeles. It wasn't typed, it was written by hand with uneven lines and messy spelling. "I'm really tired. I feel like I can't breathe sometimes," the letter said. "Can I please go home?" Joe stared at it in silence. He wasn't trying to be a superstar in that moment. Joe said he was just trying to be a kid again. Joe dug deeper. He found tour schedules that went 20 hours a day, no days off, no breaks, flights, photo shoots, interviews, rehearsals, all packed into the calendar. Justin was sleeping in hotels, moving between cities, and performing for thousands, but there was no real adult watching over him. Where were the boundaries? Joe asked. Where was the safety net? Then came the footage. A camera caught Justin at 3:12 a.m. in a hallway of a private estate tied to one of Diddy's shell companies. No press, no crew, just Justin and 2 assistants. On a nearby whiteboard, no personal calls, wake-up drill, 5 a.m. Lights out only with approval, Joe pointed at the screen. That's not training, that's control. As the podcast exploded online, people from inside the music world started reaching out to Joe. Some were assistants, others were junior staff. A few had worked directly with Diddy. One woman said she remembered Justin being told not to speak to his mom during one of those mentorship weekends. Another said the phrase full immersion was used often, phones were taken away, artists were told they had to focus and couldn't speak to their managers. Joe read those messages live. "This is a system built on silence," he said, "and it needs to end." Looking back, the signs were always there. Justin went through public meltdowns, he canceled tours, he spoke out about feeling lost. But people laughed, they made memes, they blamed him. Joe said that makes him sick now. "This kid was crying out for help," Joe said, "and all we did was call him spoiled." He brought up Justin's later interviews where he talked about being famous too young, feeling like he didn't have control, trying to reconnect with his faith and his family. "Now we know why he felt that way," Joe said. "He never had control to begin with." As more stories surfaced, sponsors pulled back. One shoe brand canceled a launch. Streaming platforms started reviewing old music videos. Some artists quietly cut ties. Diddy, once seen as a legend, was now being questioned on a global scale. "Reputation can't save you from the truth," Joe said. Joe shared a report from a licensed therapist who worked with Justin during his early career. It detailed anxiety, panic attacks, and emotional shutdown. It said the teenager was caught in a cycle of performance and pressure with no time to rest or recover. He was trapped, the report read, and he didn't even know it. Joe set it down slowly. This is not what success should look like. Joe ended the second hour of his podcast with a message to music executives. If you saw this happen and you said nothing, then you're part of the problem. He challenged them to speak up. He told them it wasn't about destroying careers. It was about saving the next kid from going through the same thing. Protect kids, don't protect fame. The need for change. Joe laid out a list of changes the industry needs to make. No travel without a legal guardian or manager for minors, full transparency in contracts for young talent, mental health support teams on tour, clear limits on work hours for artists under 18. These are simple steps, he said, but they can save lives. Within hours of the podcast dropping, number Justice for Justin was trending. Celebrities began liking Joe's clips. Mental health advocates praised his honesty. Fans apologized for not seeing the signs sooner. And Justin, he didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His story had already been told. And now, the world was listening. Joe went back even further. He looked at other young artists Diddy had worked with. Many of them disappeared. Some left the spotlight altogether. Others were never heard from again. Joe asked the tough question, where are they now? And what happened? He said this wasn't just about Justin Bieber. It was about a pattern. You don't just hear this once, you hear it over and over, and eventually you stop calling it a coincidence. Stop. Justin Bieber is still here. He's making music. He's married. He's trying to live a normal life. And that, Joe says, is a miracle. To survive all that and still want to create, that's power. Joe praised him for staying strong and honest. He said Justin's quiet courage is now helping change the entire industry. Joe ended his 3-hour episode with a promise. All the money this episode earns, I'm donating it to youth support groups, real groups that fight for mental health and fair treatment in entertainment. His last words were clear. Success should lift people up, not lock them down. If you know something, speak up, because the next Justin could be out there waiting for someone to stand up for them.